Okay, good morning, friends. We are back together after a month off, which has been delightful. And I hope you guys enjoyed your end of summertime. I hope that it gave you a little extra time to travel and relax and rest and all of that. August was a good month. I'm glad to be in September. Things kind of tend to stabilize a bit in September as the kids go back to school and people stop so much traveling and all of that. um, I have been looking forward to getting into marketing, and today that's really what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how you market, who you market to, and why marketing is important. And I'm going to ask some questions today and invite you, if you're willing to, I can show this video both with your face or uh, just with your voice. So I'm hoping that you'll be comfortable being seen on screen today. But if you're not, please let me know afterwards, or feel free, if you're not comfortable being seen on screen, feel free also to just take your video off. And that will still give you your voice. And if you don't feel like you're in your most beautiful place, then that's fine. I would like to start this morning by asking the question, how are you marketing now? What are you doing in your day-to-day marketing effort at your spiritual center?
The only marketing we do, we do several things. So we have a radio advertisement that we run every Sunday morning as part of what's called Spiritual Food for Thought, that is created by a local celebrity, kind of like radio celebrity, and it's in a more conservative radio channel. So we're actually targeting not the people that show up in Unity anyway. We're actually targeting more traditional Christian audience. That's the demographic. It's relatively large. It's Fort Worth, Dallas, but it goes a lot further. So it actually has quite a range, and some of it is syndicated. And the person who creates the Spiritual Food for Thought gives us an incredible amount, like 10, 15, sometimes 20 seconds, and she always bases it on the newsletter, which we got an incredible deal, unheard of. I've done radio spots before for many years, and they're extremely expensive, and we pay $300 a month for that. So she doesn't get a cut. She does it just because she loves Unity. And so all we're paying is the radio station just for that. And that, I think it's incredible. The big downside is we have no metrics in understanding how many new people that have come in because of the radio spot. Because currently I'm really the only one who understands, plus a marketing person that I'm now developing into leading the marketing team, who has a degree, a master's degree in marketing. We are really the only understand about metrics, and that whatever you do, you need to understand whether it has an effect or not. Right. And so that's a bit unfortunate. All I do is I check with every new person, how did you hear about us? Next, have you ever heard the radio spot? And no one has ever said, I came here because I am so frustrated with my Baptist church and I heard that commercial and I wanted to be here. So it really is a question for me whether or not it's worthwhile continuing.
And I know you do, like, for example, I'm on your daily quote list. I know you do some, those kinds of things are also marketing. They get out to
Yeah.
people who visited once and choose to continue. Can you talk a little bit about that and about your social media?
Yes, so we send out texts 3 times a week, because that was inspired by this CSL church in Dallas, when I first started, who, when Corona came in, they started texting their members, especially with, this Sunday we're open, or this Sunday this has to happen, and things like that. But then they started using quotes and things like that, and spiritual mind treatments. And I kind of like piggybacked on that idea. So on Mondays, we send out an affirmation at 11 o'clock Central Time. And I announce this freely to anyone. I have actually multiple ministers within our movement who have signed up on it, and just they don't have to be members at all or anything like that. So we have hundreds of texts going out Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Mondays is an affirmation that I write. I base it on the daily word of that day. And then I write it fresh every single time. And then Saturday is a quote. One of my licensed Unity teachers searches for quotes that are based on the daily word. And then on Thursday, I do what's called a metaphysical minute. And that's actually something relatively new we do in Instagram. So I'm recording, again, based on the daily word. I talk about that topic for like a minute, which is extremely short, and it still challenges me every single time. But then we put it on Instagram, and we are now realizing we're starting to build a following on Instagram because of that. We still text everyone who is signed up for our text with a link to the Instagram post, because most of our community is in their 60s, 70s, 80s. They don't really understand the Instagram part, but they understand texts. And that we heard feedback, like a work colleague of Elaine just recently, she came across by accident, and she follows us and said, I love Jean-Marie. She tells her all the time, I love Jean-Marie's Metaphysical Minute. She's a millennial. She loves when it's short. I used to do like 5 to 7 minutes, like a short, L&O talk. But the marketing person that I'm working with, she said, try to keep it more concise. So we're playing around with that, and we get maybe a few hundred views. Sometimes it goes into 1,000, 2,000 views, and then it drops down to 100 or 200. We have no idea why. So we're still figuring that out.
We're not where I want to be with marketing, but so what I've done as we are preparing to get our strategic planning session next week. So I've been in that template that you provided us. So a lot of our big marketing efforts will wait for that and come out of that. But what I've been focusing on in the meanwhile is more content marketing. And so what that's looking like is events and groups that are not necessarily church for church people, but they're open to public and really appealing to public. So we have a knit and crochet group called Yarn Blessings, and about half the people who attend that are not members of our church. We have an LGBTQ affinity group that meets once a month. The Yarn Blessings meets twice a month. And we sometimes meet at our co-working space, and this month we will meet at a park and have like a concert and that kind of thing. We'll have a spectacular event, which is a Halloween event, and we did it last year and really accidentally got about 30 kids who we haven't seen since and had never seen before. This year we're going to be more intentional about our marketing with that, and hopefully it'll be a much bigger event, and we'll be prepared to capture information, emails, and that kind of thing for people who show up. We had recently had a medium/intuitive do like an Angels Among Us reading event here. We're going to start chair yoga, which is geared for anyone who has mobility challenges, and that'll be twice a month. So when I say content marketing, I mean those are events or classes or groups to belong to, but they really can be one-offs. So if there is a particular presenter in it, it can be promoted in such a way that it will always sort of appeal to different people, and perhaps hopefully the idea is new people who then will become tangentially connected to our community, and then that funnel will lead in towards more regular participation. And we are also very clear that for any of these groups, if there's not going to be pressure, that if that is the extent of someone's participation with us, that they will have an experience of our mission, vision, and values. So what I've been doing is a lot of educating around what it means to be marketing, so that people will stop talking about doing mailers, because that's what most of the people who are in that conversation with me think marketing is. And so it's been a lot of education around that. Our social media is really leaves a lot to be desired, and that's just been a time thing. But I'm really excited to talk more about this text thing, because we just changed our database to Breeze, which includes something like 1,000 text messages per month or something.
Right.
So that's been like sort of the next on my list kind of thing to do. But you know, outreach and service, our weekly newsletter, I think live streaming, our signage, being in a co-working space and intentionally building relationships with the other companies who are in this space. And that's, you know, there's part of that is a revolving door. You know, I see all of that as marketing, and am really trying to educate my key leaders that all of those opportunities are marketing opportunities. Every conversation you have with someone is a marketing opportunity. So it's a lot of education.
The only thing that Unity Little Rock's doing is it's newsletter, email. They're doing some Facebook. And actually someone in the admin took it on herself to send a mailer, Jackie. But she sent it to 75 people that she has a personal relationship with, and she sent a personal note with each of those. That was a flyer of 3 new events that are beginning that are recurring events that are beginning. So little to nothing in the way of marketing. It really comes down to Facebook and email.
We used to have a presence at New Age, New Thought type fairs in the area, a booth, a table, whatever. But I would first admit it was an ad hoc effort. It wasn't ongoing through the course of a year. And we didn't, like Jean-Marie said, we didn't keep data of if somebody went, okay, why are you now, Unity, had you been to the fair? That we didn't have those kind of statistics back at that time.
I'm going back, and pre-pandemic, we were at a certain level. We are not a big church, right? We went into the pandemic around 25. Right now, we're handling at 35. We've had new people come in, and I was sitting here taking notes. The biggest thing we're working on right now is getting social media advice. A lot of it was feedback on what's effective, what isn't, the metrics that Jean was talking about, and so what we're doing is we're active on Facebook. We stream our Sunday message on Sundays, and we do Zoom, and we back that up every week with our newsletter. Now, newsletter goes out Friday night, and in the newsletter, I realized we do book studies. Like right now, we're heavily into The Course of Love, The Eye of the Storm. We have another one. We've been doing centering prayer. We do a centering prayer morning meditation from 6 to 6:30, and we promote it in our newsletter and in the environment. And centering prayer is simply we open up, we read the daily word, we sit in silence for 25 minutes, and we close with the Lord's Prayer or the 23rd Psalm. We have people coming in and out of that, and we have a very heavy centering prayer presence in Central Texas. So people are in and out of it. And we're in the newsletter for Centering Prayer. We're in the newsletter, which is international for Course of Love. So we have people dialing in amazingly from all kinds of places all over the United States, which is not big numbers, but just once and twice. I'm interested in Instagram. Our social media person is asking for somebody, or we're looking for somebody to give us guidance on that. We tried with Unity Worldwide Ministries and found that there really isn't that support up there other than graphics. I thought they had hired somebody that was an expert in that area. So they've had me trying to drum up, this is the only term I've got, is an intern at a local college that might be interested in doing internship with us. And so far, I haven't been able to find anybody with that, but it's an idea we're working on. On Instagram, we are doing daily affirmations. Actually, what happens between my wife and I, we write and she does most of it, to be honest with you, because she's trained in that area. And we put it out under Unity Pflugerville Spiritual Center onto Instagram. And again, every time we check it, we're increasing. Our newsletter, for some reason, a lot of it says evidently we are including, we've got, I count them 4 book studies going now. And I forget about that, because those book studies that we have members of the church and members from the outside that interact, that spread who we are. And it's very interesting. And we're getting, I think we've got 300 on our newsletter list, and we've got an open rate of 90 out of that, which is, I'm pleased with that percentage. And so that seems to be working. I also do it, and this is interesting. I was listening to John Murray on the, on the Instagram. I was doing, and still do it once in a while, I've got cards, the daily thought cards, and I have them from some places, and I go on and just do a 1 minute, here's the thought of the day type of thing. And I was getting feedback on that, but it's funny. I would like more guidance. I'd like somebody to talk to. I don't find that support at Unity Worldwide. I was very pleased to open up you today, Ahriana, and see we're talking about marketing, because we really are in that situation where we know the message is good. We know that right now Unity has a message that's supportive and loving in the universe and has answers. And the question is, how do we get that message to the public around us? And the branding said that 33% of the population is open to how do we get to that 33% is a question I keep looking at, and I'm still looking for answers to that. Let me think. Anyway, that's it. And I appreciate the subject.
Yeah, I think it's an important subject for us to talk about. I think the running of the spiritual center takes a tremendous amount of time from its leadership. And so even people who have a strong marketing background only have so much time they can give to marketing. And oftentimes what we do is we think about marketing in terms of, do I send out the newsletter? Do I post on social media? What am I doing rather than who am I talking to?
Yes.
And I want to invite you. I'm going to send this to you afterwards. You'll all get this presentation. So for now, I just want you to think about these things. And then I'll send you the PowerPoint presentation, and I invite you to actually make time in your day sometime this week to ask yourself the questions that are in here, and actually either get in a discussion with somebody at your office, someone in your community with whom you could discuss these things, or write these answers down and actually give yourself the task of thinking through them, because the process of marketing begins with questions, not directions. The process of marketing begins with questions. So the first question I'm going to ask you, and again, you don't have to answer all of these right now, but if you have something you want to put in, just jump in, because that's the benefit of a mastermind, is that we're talking together. So do you have marketing goals? And what I mean by marketing goals is something different than we just want to get new bodies in the seats. Have you actually sat down and asked yourself, do you have marketing goals? What are your marketing goals? Do you have a strategy for meeting those goals? So you can see right away, if you don't know what your marketing goals are. So maybe your marketing goal is to bring in more people under 60 years old. Or maybe your marketing goal is to recover people who have not come back since the pandemic. Or maybe your marketing goal is to grow your youth program. If you're not specific about what those marketing goals are, then you will not have a strategy for meeting specific goals, which means you have no way of measuring your success. So if your strategy is to increase the involvement in your youth program, you can measure in September and you can measure in December and see whether what you were doing is working or not. Right? If you don't list these goals, if you don't actually think about what it is that you want to grow. So for example, Jean-Marie, your radio program, awesome. You're hitting you're aiming at a very specific niche, that unhappy person who is involved in traditional Christianity and not finding what they want. But you're measuring by whether they came into the radio, whether they heard it on the radio or not. And the truth is, if you say, did you see us on television? Did you hear us on the radio? Did you see our ad in the newspaper? People will tell you they saw you on television and you don't even have an ad. You're not even running anything. They don't remember how they heard about you. But if you were to include in your annual strategy, in your annual survey, some questions about whether or not they came to Unity as the result of having been ready to move beyond traditional Christianity, then you might get an idea of where your community is and a baseline of the number of people that are there, and the opportunity then 6 months later to measure again and see if that number has grown. If that's a target for you. Sometimes a great deal is a great deal and sometimes a great deal isn't. What tools do you use to implement your strategy will depend on who you're really trying to reach. The tools that you're going to reach, if you're on Instagram, you're trying to contact a younger demographic.
Yeah.
Your older people are not on Instagram. You are trying to bring in, that probably 40, 45 and under group who use Instagram regularly. So again, are you seeing that growth? Are you seeing participation in that age group? Important to ask yourself what tools are appropriate. The tools you'll use to reach families with children will be very different. How do you measure the success of your strategy? These are questions for you to ask yourself. They're not questions necessarily for everyone else, but they're questions that you want to take some time with, because marketing is a logical sequence of identifying who you want to be in service to, figuring out where they are and trying to reach them there. What are they doing? And that can apply even, as Jackie was saying, with your different events. The people who will be drawn to chair yoga are going to be different than the people who are drawn to a regular yoga class. So, is that the group that you're targeting to grow? If it is, great activity. There's something to be said for the fact that there's a lot of gray hair in our congregations. And on one hand, we definitely want to add the younger demographic and see to the future of our spiritual centers. On the other hand, when people come into a spiritual center, they look for people that look like them. So you can grow your population. Maybe you want to grow the population in that 50 plus area because they're going to feel comfortable. They're going to be financially relatively stable. That they're going to fit well with the community that you have right now. There are lots of reasons you may want to grow that population. It can be a segment or an objective in your marketing strategy. Some other questions. This is an important one because all of you have this who are ministers. What do you want to communicate this month? Not all year long, not every day. What are you talking about from your pulpit this month? Who would be interested in what you're talking about? And are you sharing with people? Are you planned far enough ahead that you can share with people, this is what we're talking about this month, and get people to hook into your topic? Because you have something to say and you're putting a lot of study time into it. And that topic that you're offering one month will apply and be of interest to people different than the topic that you're talking about next month, depending upon what their life situation is. And this is true not only in your marketing outside into the greater community, but this is really true in your personal community. Does your community really understand how exciting it is what you're going to be talking about and how applicable it is? Are you giving them a little video, pick up your phone, hey guys, join me this month. You are going to be so excited. I am talking about how to grow your spiritual heart, how to widen and open your heart at the times that you feel shut down. If you're feeling shut down, this is the time you want to come and be with me, right? So are you getting a message out to them that's just casually you inviting them in? Do you have messages that really speak to what you stand for? And that is both the personal you and the greater you. What do you personally, as a leader in this community, what do you stand for? And what does your spiritual center stand for? This is important because when you look at places in the city you live in to get involved, what you stand for should be a guidepost for where you put your volunteers. So if you stand for making sure people in your town have houses, have enough houses to move into, and that there's some effort going into homelessness in your community, then Habitat for Humanity is a great place to be donating time because it aligns with what you stand for. Does that make sense? What do you stand for, and how do you get out in the community and show people that you stand for that? What are the organizations in your community that are doing something about what you stand for? Who do you want to help? And do you have a consistent, clear message? This is who we are and this is who we're helping. Or do you have a shotgun message? That is, if the food bank needs food, we're going to collect it. And if Habitat for Humanity needs bodies, we're going to be there. And if the Girl Scouts need, adults to stand with them while they're selling cookies, we're going to do that. Like, who do you stand for? What are you doing that you can really claim? A lot of the work that we did at Unity in the Rockies was related to a small pocket of 600 refugees in Uganda. And that group, we made sure that the work we were doing there, we were supporting in the US as well. So we worked with groups who were dealing with refugee considerations, both in the US and in Uganda, and had a very strong message about caring for each other across the boundaries, the invisible boundaries we call countries. What do you stand for? Where is your effort going? How much consistency is there between what you say you stand for and where you jump in? And this needs to be decided by your community, because they're not going to volunteer if they're not behind the cause. So it's, again, something that you could include in a survey. Here are 5 different areas we could give time to really make a difference where we live. Which of these appeal to you? Pick one. And then start in that area, because you're going to find people who are like you, who have similar interests, who care that you care, and will get involved in your community because your community is active in the greater community on purpose rather than gunshot or shotgun. What do you want? Who do you want to hear your message? We talked about this, right? Are you looking for, there are 2 sides of marketing. So Jean-Marie, the piece that you're doing is like the people who really need us, who don't really know we exist. That's powerful. And then the other piece is marketing to those people who are really close to you. Like, the class that Jackie's offering, just a yoga class. Most people who are engaged in regular American yoga would be interested in some of what we have to say about well-being. They think a little, their minds operate a little differently. So what are the activities that your people are doing right now that you can use as a guideline for what kind of activities you could bring in to attract new people, or for partnerships or alignments that you can look for? When you talk about, I don't know if you guys do trunk or treat at Halloween, but it's usually a really good activity, really good in the neighborhoods. Kids like to come. It's a safe trick-or-treating environment. Adults like to decorate their cars. It's a very simple thing to pull off. So trunk or treat is just that. People decorate, they open their hood, their trunk of their car, they decorate the trunk in the back of their car, and they stand by their car and hand out Halloween treats. Sometimes people put little games in the trunk, and all kinds of things happen. It's creative and fun, and it generally will attract people in your neighborhood. So when they come in, when those people come in, what are you telling them about who you are? What can they see that tells them how your church is different from the Baptist church down the street? Do you have any signage up? Do you have a list of your events up? Is there something that you can hand them that, maybe has a free invitation? This is a free pass to our senior yoga class. This is a free pass to this. What are you giving them that encourages them back in the building? Because the more times they come in your building, the more times they meet you, the happier they are, the more comfortable they are there. And where do you find these people? Where do you find the people you want to talk to? That's going to really be important to where you go out to do events. If you are looking to build the very young end of your community, you want to be on college campuses. How do you do that? Reach out to the religious services office on the campus. Find out what their activities are for the year. Find out if there's a place for you to have a booth. Find out if you can be a speaker. Most religious unions that are, especially the interfaith unions, will be really interested in having you come in as a speaker to some of their student events. And if you can do that and just talk to them about a subject and they like you, you have the opportunity to invite them to come and get more online and in person. So these questions really, once you decide what you're doing, once you decide who you're trying to talk to, it makes a big difference. Sorry about that. It makes a big difference in how you direct your efforts. This question, I think, is a key question for everyone's marketing content. How are you making people's lives better? So I know there's Unity on the Avenue in Denver. And I know there's Unity Fort Worth, and I know there's Unity in Santa Fe, and I know there's a Unity in Albuquerque. What are they doing to make people's lives better? If I go, what do I expect to receive? What are the real words that you would use to describe how you make people's lives better? Because that's what they want to know when they're making their decision where they're going to go. So why should I come and see you? What are you going to do to make my life better? Maybe you're going to give community. We're going to give you a chance to immerse yourself in a loving community. Maybe you're ready to take your spiritual education to the next level. Done being a victim? Come and see us at Unity. We don't believe in victimhood. We believe you're the authority in your life. How do we create the statements? And this is a piece that there actually are, if you go in the branding materials for Unity Worldwide Ministries, they actually give some phrases to speak about unity. Some of them are really good. They're about a decade old. They need the next level of upgrade, but they would give you a place to start. And find 2 or 3 statements about how you make people's lives better or how you make the world better, and put those in every single thing you do. So that comment, I have a publisher I'm working with. The company is called Brave Healer Books, Brave Healer Productions. Her benchmark statement is, we give life to your brave words. We give life to your brave words. She's really marketing to people who have trauma and tragic stories, to really tell people how they moved through the trauma of their life. And what she really does as a book publisher is puts out books about healing through traumatic experience and all the different kinds of tools that can be used to do that. What do you guys do? Whose life are you making better? How are you doing it? This is worthy of lots of your time and worthy of a conversation. Again, this is a great focus group question. Grab 5 people who've been around your community and ask them this. What do you think we do to make people's lives better? Because who should know better than them? So what do you have to offer? These are the things that you give. And I chose this particular picture because when people see something exciting, they all turn and look at it, don't they? They all turn and they're like, wow, that's something really, did you see that? Your marketing should call people that way. Did you see that? Did you see? That's a great place to go. They do what? You build community. You give people who are the word that takes people into community is loneliness. You talked about epidemic proportions. In our country, we have epidemic proportions of loneliness. Does your community help people to do something for their loneliness? Does your community educate? What do you educate on? Cutting edge spirituality that has ancient roots. You know, what do you educate people about? How to live in a different way? What kind of a different way? These really specific questions, like it's not enough to just say, yeah, we educate people about, unity's basis in metaphysics. What does that mean? If I don't know what that is, why would I go? What does that mean? I'm going to teach you how to think about life in a new way. I'm going to teach you how to strengthen your positivity muscle without ignoring the things that are going on in your life. I'm going to give you a new way of using your brain and your heart to create a purpose-driven life. What are you going to do? How do you educate? How do you move people toward their purpose? Because that's another thing that we have in epidemic proportions right now. People are quietly quitting their jobs. I read an article today that was about quietly quitting. And what that means is you're sitting at your desk and you're doing only what you absolutely have to do. And you're not doing one thing more because you're quietly quitting the craziness of overwork and exhaustion. So what do we do for that? When people quietly quit their jobs, they don't know what their next purpose is. People work really hard when they feel purpose-driven, when they feel like they're accomplishing something, when they feel like what they're doing makes a difference in the world. And this is important for you to think about with your volunteers and with your staff, because in some places, your volunteers and your staff are quietly quitting too, because we're not telling them they're making a difference, not taking the time to say, the role you play here is really important. Thank you for what you do. Do you see what a difference you make in this community? So how do we help people to find their passion? And do we? Do we help them to overcome their loneliness and move themselves to a place where they can feel passionate about what they do? Interconnection is a big deal. Interconnection on all levels, interconnection across races, across ages, across disability, across ability. There are lots and lots of places where we can integrate many different ways and experiences people are having as they move through life. Are you a place that welcomes people of what? People of color, LGBTQ community, people who are refugees? Who are they? Who are you welcoming? And what kind of guidance do you give? And when I say guidance, I mean, do you have a prayer chaplain team? If you want to pray with somebody, we have people who will pray with you. If you have pastoral counseling, we're a place where you're going to get positive pastoral counseling. You have an opportunity to receive some guidance on how to use the tools we offer to actually make each day a little bit more manageable. So can you see, as we look at these lists and these questions, why marketing gets pushed back? Because all of this stuff, answering these questions takes time and thought and conversation. The marketing effort is not as easy as where do we place our message. It's really a matter of clarity about what you're trying to do as a spiritual center. And if you don't have that clear, then the messages that you're putting out are just a shot in the dark. The words and intentions that you have are really important to this process. So I really want to invite you to, like I said, come back to this PowerPoint presentation and take time to move through these questions. What if you spend the next 6 weeks just talking to people in your community, thinking through this, and really working on who you are, what you're doing, and what people should know about you? 6 weeks from now, you'll be in mid-October. Do you think you might have a really good, clear message to begin sending out during the holiday season, prior to your Christmas season? It's an important time, right? The 2 days a year. We have a chance to get them in the door just because they want to come. What message are you going to give them that keeps them coming the rest of the year? That makes them feel like, what we know is that they're going to walk in the door and they're going to go, geez, I feel like this is home. I've been waiting forever to find you guys. It's home here. But we have to get them across the threshold, and we have to tell them what to expect when they get to the other side of it. who needs what you have to offer. It's not about reaching everyone. It's really not. It's not about reaching everyone. It's about deciding who you want to reach. So if you have an LGBTQ group, then you want to send marketing information out to organizations like Inside Out, which is a group that works with LGBTQ youth, right? You want to find the organizations in your community that have people who are looking for your group. You want to find out if there's a senior center in your area. If there are any kind of senior activities, maybe there's a place that offers senior, what do you call that? Water aerobics, something like that. And go find out. I'm not a big person for flyers, but a flyer on a bulletin board where your people are that says, we have senior yoga, we have chair yoga on the days you don't have swimming. It's a well-placed piece of marketing, very simple piece of marketing to do. And some of those old techniques really work. Some of those just very simple old tech, find out who's there. Hand them the flyer. Say, if there are more people someplace you go, will you put this up on the bulletin board or hand it to somebody who might really appreciate what we offer? How do people make referrals? I'll tell you what, in today's world, they rarely do unless they meet a friend who's really, really in need. But if you have a stack of flyers on the table to tell who you are, and you say to your community, there's 35 of you, every one of you hand this flyer to one person who you believe should come and join us. You know, it's not a big deal, but they will have the conversation. And you have given them the tool to do that. You've given them something useful they can pass on. And if you're at 35 and you double your numbers to 70, that makes a big difference, right? If you're at 35 and you get 10 new people, that makes a difference. It's exponential according to the numbers you're starting with. This is the thing about marketing. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Why do you do what you do? Because we want to make the world a better place. Okay, great. What does that mean? Because you want to make the world a better place. How? Because we want to give children confidence that their spiritual heart is true, that what they sense in the world is real, and that love truly is the foundation of spirituality. Because we want children to experience an environment of love that does not make God scary. We want them to be able to access a one-to-one relationship, right? That's a really different message for why you have your youth program, because a lot of kids are exposed to scary religion. We want them to know that God is something different. We want them to have a personal relationship. We want to show them how to do that. We want our adults to have the same thing, don't we? Now, one of the lines in the marketing, in the branding kit is love-based, not fear-based. That's a huge message. It's a message that you can speak about. You know, we're love-based, not fear-based. And remember, when you're using those words with your community as you speak from the pulpit, you're giving them the words that they're going to tell somebody else. Because referral is still the very strongest, best form of marketing you have. But do your people know what to talk about? Have you given them words they can use? We are love-based, not fear-based. And everything we do comes from a center of love. We don't care how you name God. Call God. God is great spirit, universal energy, quantum field, the mystery of life, whatever you choose, we're going to connect in the same way with that source energy. If you love Wayne Dyer and Neil Donald Walsh and Joan Borisenko, you're going to love us. If you love Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden, you're going to love us. How do you tell people who you are? Who else is giving a message? So go look and see, what does Greg Braden say on his website about who he is and why his work is important in the world? Now, what's on Wayne Dyer's site? What's on Louise Hay's site? What are the words that they use to describe the impact of their work? Those words will begin to stir your mind and give you words that you can use to speak to the impact, because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that is more true in this 21st century we're living in than it has ever been. People post-pandemic are spending their money with people who are doing something that they care about. Who are doing it for the reasons that they do the things they do in their life. What's your story? What's your story? How do you tell your story? And this is twofold. So out in the world of business online, what people will say is, why should I know? How do I get to know, love, and trust you? Tell me why I should know, love, and trust you. You want me to come and hear you speak every week. Why should I know, love, and trust you? How's that going to happen? Who are you? What is it about you that I need to know? And why should I know, love, and trust your community? What's the narrative? Do you have a compelling story that makes you unique or that appeals to a unique group of people? And are you building on that? Because that's the greatest asset you have, is you. You, the people that are there, and the reason that you open your doors every Sunday. You open your doors every Sunday because you get a paycheck there for making sure the doors get open? No. You would never. There are so many other ways that are easier to get a paycheck. There are so many easier ways. Some of us as Unity ministers aren't even taking a paycheck. We open our doors for a reason, because we've genuinely found that Unity teachings change people's lives. We've genuinely had our lives changed by these teachings. Does anybody in your community know how your life has changed by these teachings? If you said to them, do you know anything about me? Would they be able to tell you? What can they tell you? That matters. There's a reason you do what you do. Tell them. That is a compelling story. It compels them to care what you have to say. And marketing is all about that. It's about compelling people to care what you're doing, what you have to say, why you exist. So there are lots of ways to market. Some of the most common ways that we know we market are referrals, social media, print, which can be newspaper ads, flyers, mailers, whatever. Anything in the electronic spectrum, which for me is radio, television, that kind of stuff. Signage on your building. Hey, these cool things are happening. Bulletin boards. These are all pretty traditional ways of marketing. And we know all of these. There are new things that that are available to help us bring people in. If you are not podcasting, if you are posting, you're live streaming and you're posting, but you're not converting your audio to a podcast and putting it on Apple or any of the platforms that allow you to get your word out across several podcasting platforms, you're missing an opportunity. Because it doesn't take you any more work. You're already talking, you're already recording. All you have to do is run your live stream video through a podcast converter, through an audio converter. I have an address. Let me make myself a note. I will send you a link to a really easy converter that will pull your audio out. You can do it on Zoom, but it will pull your, if you're live streaming, you may not be using Zoom. You can pull that audio out, develop a nice, cool cover, and promote real content across all the media platforms that take podcasts. And also, this is a really cool thing. Like if somebody's at your church and they love what you said on Sunday, and you throw the link for your podcast up online, they can share that with somebody. Believe it or not, people still listen to more podcasts than they watch videos, because they can put their earbuds in and listen when they're walking. They can listen in their car. They can listen at their desk. They can listen anywhere. They can't always watch the video. So podcasting is a way to turn people's attention toward you. The same with your videos. It's great to put them up for the people that are there, but if you're not finding ways to promote them out, you're missing an opportunity. And for Instagram, if you have somebody in your community who can edit for you, or you know how to edit yourself, take the best 5 minutes, take the best 3 minutes. Cut just a little snippet that you can use on Instagram. Some of the brilliant things that come out of your mouth, because I know they do. Pull those brilliant words into short snippets. All you have to do is edit them out. You don't have to create the content. It's already there. The same thing can be done using that same, if you have a beautiful slide that you used in your weekend reflection, take that slide, put your quote on it, not somebody else's. What did you say that was brilliant? Because you did. Take your quote and put your quote on it, and put your website down in the bottom corner and get that online, get it on your Facebook. So these are things that you already do that you can pull from to create marketing content. Meditations, there's a big call for guided meditations right now. Think about all the things you could create a short guided meditation on, like dealing with anxiety, or finding your passion, or sleeping better, or being the parent you want to be. Or you could probably come up with 10 more. But a short meditation, that's the same kind of meditation you do every Sunday. Breathe yourself into a settled place. Allow your heart to move into whatever your topic is. Allow yourself to settle into divine guidance on that. Allow the Holy to bring to you what you need. Let's hold a moment of silence. Now breathe again and gently open your eyes. You can do that in your sleep. You do it all the time. You can do it in your sleep. But that little short meditation is needed in the bigger world. People get to hear your voice. They get to hear the kind of thing you care about. And they get instructions with it on your social media that say, come and see us. This is what we do every Sunday. Your marketing needs to have value. When it comes to the new ways of marketing, what is calling people in is marketing that has value. So you're giving something away. That's why the texts are so great that Jean-Marie is doing, because they're free. We're giving you words of inspiration every single day. Am I going to think about him when I'm thinking about my annual giving? Absolutely. Even though the likelihood of me walking in the doors to Unity of Fort Worth is slim. But I am gaining something a couple times a week from the community I can't even access. So what is the value that you're offering? And, Jackie, you are a perfect example for all the special classes. Now that we're open back up, figuring out how to do some of that stuff hybrid is a little challenging, but getting people together makes a big difference. It really does. So here's the thing. Here's the formula. Your why you open the doors on Sunday, plus the people who need what you have to offer, the people who care, a very specific group of people. Your why plus a very specific group of people and your plan to reach them equals a growing spiritual community, life changes, and a better world. This is not a generic, broad-based, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks kind of marketing. This is a clear plan. We open the doors on Sunday because this is what we're doing. Our message says, this is what we're doing and this is what we have to offer you. If you need this, we want to help you. If you are battling loneliness, we want to help you. If your spirituality feels old and stale, we want to help you. If you have a family and you want them to have church, but not the scary kind of church you had, we can help you. These are the things that we do. Come and see us. And if you want to try us out, go on our Facebook, go on our Instagram, go on our YouTube channel. Here's our podcast. Check it out. Come and see us. That will grow your community. Make sense? Still with me? Okay. So I would love if you would think about these things. And when we come back together for our open conversation in 2 weeks, if you would come back with both your reflections, what you think, who you really want to target, and what your basic idea is about how you might reach them. And then we can work together to give each other new ideas for how to reach that same market, tools that we can use, resources for being able to develop those tools, and share our good ideas. Okay? Awesome. I am looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, and I appreciate you staying with me. We ran a little long, but I really appreciate you staying with all of that. And I will, when we come together in 2 weeks, I will put together a resource list of tutorials for you. I'll make sure you have the converter. I'll make sure you have all the information about Canva if you don't have that. I'll pull out some marketing videos that speak to how you market on YouTube. I'll pull together a whole list of resources for you guys and how to get to those things so that you can really begin to craft a strategy. And we'll talk about the less traditional and sometimes more effective ways of measuring your marketing outcomes. Okay? Yay. All right, friends. I love y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you
Thank you.
soon. Bye.